guys, it's Bubbly. Welcome back to the channel and to a very exciting video. We are doing a budget battle build challenge, and this is being hosted by Havana Sims. So Havana Sims has created this battle for some super creative simmers to get together and duke it out to see who could renovate the streamlet single and make it the prettiest. So we have joining the battle this month is Hip Hip Renee, Carrie Plays, B Ray Sunny, Maple Sinner, Ashuria, Bree Simulated, Sweet Pea Simmer, Melanin Simmer 2000, Sharagon, Lilac Lydia Dietz, Sam Suga, Nora, and myself. So basically, let's take a look at the rules. There aren't a huge amount of rules to follow for this, which is very much appreciated. So some poor soul has purchased the streamlet single and it needs to be refreshed and given new life. So basically, all we needed to do in order to complete this challenge is to have the home be 20,000 simoleons. It must have a porch and a garden, and we could not use my first pet stuff, fitness stuff, kids room stuff, and Strangerville packs. Now, once all of these builds are completed, you can vote for your favorite, and there's going to be a link in the description down below, as well as links to all of the ladies who are included in this challenge. Make sure you're checking out their videos. All of that is linked down below. And then once you pick your favorite, make sure you head back to the voting link to select your favorite, and then the winner will be announced on May 25th. Now let's go ahead and jump into the speed build. So here is the streamlet single in all of its glory as I demolish everything that was inside of this EA created house. Now, it was looking pretty sad. It was looking pretty tired. It definitely needed to be updated. But you guys, you already know that budget builds, small builds are definitely a challenge for me. I enjoy building big builds with an unlimited amount of simoleons, because you know, who wouldn't enjoy an unlimited amount of cash to update their house? I mean, I don't know too many people who wouldn't be excited about that, but unfortunately I only had 20,000 simoleons in order to make this tiny starter home somebody's dream home. So I started off by expanding the house just a little bit. I do end up having to scale it back down a little bit off camera after I completed the build, just because I ran out of money. You guys, it was so hard to work within this 20,000 simoleon budget. I tried though. You know, I'm always up for a challenge, especially when it comes to these budget and tiny builds. I mean, this isn't tiny. For me, I consider it tiny, but when it comes to these type of builds, I am ready to rise to the challenge every time. This time was no exception, but it was definitely a difficult one for me to complete and be happy with it. But you guys, in the end, I really love how this turned out. I think it's super cute, but I did have to make some changes. So you're gonna see as the build goes on that some things get swapped out quite a few times during the builds, and then in the end things continued to change just because I was fighting to get in under budget for the 20,000 simoleons, and I thought, I got this. It's gonna be super easy. I'm going to pick the cheapest items for everything that I need in this house, and it just didn't work out as I planned. So I always start out with doing the unnecessary items first in these builds, when I really should be focusing on what's needed for your sim to actually live a comfortable life, and work backward from that way and add in any like knick-knacky things or clutter items to give the house a more, you know, a bit more personality at the end. I always struggle with that because I'm a clutter queen. I love to clutter houses and all of my builds, but it just doesn't work out when you're working on a budget and kind of a smaller home. I mean, smaller homes are fine, but when it's a budget, it's definitely tricky. So the kitchen was it was difficult for me to figure out the layout of the kitchen and the living room space. I played around with this for quite a bit. Probably the majority of the time I spent on this build was in the kitchen and living space because I couldn't quite figure out how the layout was going to best fit the space, because it's a pretty tight space. And at first I thought I wanted it to be an open floor plan, but it just really wasn't working out for everything that I wanted to put into the house. So I kind of had to, it was like a puzzle. It's like, how do I fit these pieces together to maximize the space and have a nice flow going on in the house? In the end, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's not gonna look anything like it looks like right now though. Spoiler alert, it does get changed. So, but you know, playing around with the items and trying to figure out how to place them in a space like this, it's tricky. Now, when I was looking at this space this way as an open space, it just seems so tiny and so small, and how am I going to fit everything in here? But I ended up putting a wall in to divide the room, and once I did that, it became so much easier to figure out how I was going to fit everything into this house, which at first I didn't think a wall was going to make sense because I thought it was going to close it off too much and make it feel like it was an entirely too small space, too cramped of a space. But it really worked out in the end to make it feel like it was bigger almost. I don't know how that worked out, but to me anyway, it felt like it was a bigger space, and it just had more structure. So here's the wall going in, and as you can see, it divides the room, but it really helped to give the living room its own defined space and the kitchen its own defined space in order to make things work. And maybe that's the key to building the smaller houses that I'm missing, because I tend to lean toward open floor plans because it's my preferred style, but I don't know if it necessarily always works, especially in smaller builds when you're trying to cram a bunch of stuff into small spaces. It just tends to look cluttered and unorganized when there isn't clear defined areas for each part of the house. So in the end, the wall saved the day. I was very happy and thankful that the wall came in and kind of solved the problem that I was having. So this is the master bedroom that I'm working on right now. This also does change a bit. I changed the wallpaper in this room a little bit in the end, and then I also make it a little bit smaller just because there was no money to fill the dead spaces of the room, so it didn't make sense to have a room that size if we didn't have any money to put anything in there. So I did shorten up that room a little bit. So, and there's basically just the master bed and I think a nightstand in there with some clutter items, and that was basically it. So in the second bedroom here, which is a little bit smaller than the master bedroom, I initially thought I wanted to have two beds in there. I thought maybe a toddler's bed and a child's bed, but in the end I decided to swap it out just for the child's bed, and I put a desk and a chair, but I had to remove those because I needed the cash. I needed the simoleons to make this house work the way I wanted it to, and to come in under budget. So those two items do get removed in the end. So in the front of the house is where I put the garden. So when I initially started the build, I put those ceiling saucer lights in because they're so bright and give us some nice light, especially when I'm building. But then I had to delete them because I needed the cash, and those things are like 100 simoleons a piece. So I took all of those out, replaced them with some cheaper, much cheaper lights, which saved us on some money. And then I put in the garden at the front of the house. So I thought this was a cute idea. I really liked how it looked having the garden in the front, because this lot is a pretty small lot. I believe it's a 20 by 15. So there's not a ton of space to put like outdoor things or, like recreation area for the family to enjoy. So the only requirement for this budget battle was to have a garden. So I wanted to make something that looked kind of cute and inviting. It's basically just a garden. There's like no seating or anything else like that in this house, in that part of the house or part of the build. It's strictly a garden. And my idea though is, because this is a starter home, so I'm assuming your Sims aren't going to have a ton of money to spend, it's going to be a way that your Sims can make some money. So maybe they can expand on the house, or maybe just move to a bigger lot, because this lot is pretty small. You'd have to build up or build down in order to get more rooms into this house. But I was pretty pleased that I was able to get 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms in this house, and it does not feel cramped at all. It is definitely a nice, spacious, small house for a newlywed couple, or maybe a couple that has a young child, or they're expecting their first child. It would be perfect for Sims that are just starting out in the world of, what is this? Willow Creek. Willow Creek. For some reason, I always want to confuse Willow Creek with Oasis Springs, you know, because they look nothing alike. But anyway, so I did start to put in some plants, some bushes, and some trees on the outside of the house just to give it a little bit of a spark, but I ended up having to delete quite a bit of those. The tree stays, and the little flowers with the trees stay, and the flowers in the front of the fence stay, but everything else that I put around the house I had to delete, because again, I needed the simoleons. But I wanted this house to have some character, so I did reserve some of the money to put some planters in the windows, and just have a few extra little touches on the outside of the house to make it look cute and inviting, because it's kind of my favorite part of builds is how the house looks on the outside. It's what grabs your attention and wants you to see more and see what's going on the inside of the house. So that was my reasoning for reserving some money for the details on the outside. Now, going back on the inside of the house, I did use some debug items in order to just add a tiny bit of clutter to the house to give it some personality, because it was feeling kind of bland. It was feeling like it didn't have that feeling of a Sim actually lived in the house, and I like my houses to have that lived in feeling, like a Sim actually lives there and is, you know, spending their life going about their business, whatever their career is, or starting their families. I like having that feel in my build. So I went through the debug catalog looking for some items that I could use that weren't going to cost a lot of money or any money at all. So that is definitely something to keep in mind when you're building, or if you're trying to build on a budget. If you go into the debug catalog, and to do that, you open the cheat menu and type in bb.show hidden objects, and then in the search menu you type in the word debug, and then it'll bring up a whole list of items that are not normally available in the catalog, and some of them are free. So it works out to your advantage if you're trying to build on a budget. So you guys, we're coming to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed this build. I'm happy with the final results of it. It was definitely a challenge, but it worked out pretty good. So you guys, make sure you're going to check out all of the other amazing simmers that are included in this battle. All of their information is linked down below, and also don't forget the link to vote is also down below. So make sure you check out all the videos and then come back and vote for Bubbly. Or, you know, vote for whoever you thought was the best at renovating the Streamlit single. So, and make sure you show Havana some love, because she is the host of this battle. So if you guys enjoyed today, please give me a big thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit that sub button and tap the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. And as always, guys, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.
I recall the past again tonight. It's in the front of my mind as I fall tight.